And we are live. Hello and welcome to the Business Octopus live stream. We talk about all things sales, marketing, and technology. Welcome back. How you going, Amanda?
I'm fabulous, Avon, for a massive week. How about yourself?
Shadow of my former self, but that's okay. We'll get through
Damn straight
it.
we will.
So I think, fiddling around with all the settings before, I've tried a new theme here. We've got the backlight, the shelving, and a front light. So I don't know if you're watching and you've seen some of our other live streams, let us know what you think in the comments. Always trying to just do a little bit better each time. So working on our content, working on our cameras and microphones and all the other little bits and pieces. But otherwise, if you're tuning in today, we're going to be talking about the product ascension ladder. So getting your customers to buy stuff and making it easy for them to do so. So I guess we've had a bit of a conversation through our community recently where we helped someone out on this. Do you want to give us your take on what we went through?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as a starting point, it's really important. There's something that you actually say quite often, Avon, whether you're aware of it or not. It's about getting the product in the customer's hands. So it's not about, necessarily being gung-ho and set on, I've got to sell that, $5,000 package, that 20K package. First and foremost, what could your product offering look like at the bottom of the ascension ladder, which we'll dig into in a second? What entry level products could you do to bring people into your world, or to give them a taste of what it's like to work with you, to be in your energy and sort of understand how you do things and if that is a good fit for them? So we spoke to one of the guys in the States actually during one of our Relevate community events. And we were talking through, he's an author, he's got some amazing books. How can he monetize some products around that core offering?
Yeah, like we talked about doing things like what we're doing here, like content, things to get them into the pipeline. And there's heaps of marketing and activities that people can do, but then how do you go from brand aware or problem aware to solution aware to sold? So getting them from their like external state into like a internal state, or like internal to your company as a customer or as someone who is very familiar. And so people are like always looking to de-risk themselves. They're always trying to get rid of any kind of doubts that this is the wrong thing. They don't want to go wasting money. I get that. That's no problem at all. So yeah, dipping their toe in and getting them across the line. And I think that one way that you can do that is an exchange that's perhaps non-monetary. And quite often that exchange is, the newsletter for the email address, or a free item, maybe like a gift in some cases, which could be as simple as download the free checklist, or download this. I'm going to gift you my playbook for such and such. In return, I'd just like your email address so that we can continue the conversation. So that's a good entry point.
Yeah, and as long as it's something like the amount of free things that I've downloaded over the years were absolute rubbish. So as long as you're being intentional and making sure that it actually adds value, if that person is driven and they'll go and apply the thing, they'll actually get wins. So please make sure that your free things or your freemium things, which we'll get into, are good, like valuable, and will help people move that needle forward.
And going a step further, like I think the next step in the value chain is, like, I've heard it called a Tripwire product. I've heard it called a product for prospects, but it's a low dollar offer and something that can just get people over the line. So if someone's doing like ads or something, that's often called a self-liquidating offer. So the idea is that whatever it is that you sell, if it's like a $7 ebook or a $15 work package or something like that, or a template, that it covers the cost of that customer acquisition, or at least reduces the costs of it. And whether or not you're advertising, sometimes you just want a really low risk product for someone to dip their toe in. And having that little early stage thing, that there's something that happens, even just getting the customer to spend $1. There's some kind of psychological switch to go, I've now worked with this customer. I've now become gone from a prospect to a customer. But even if you're selling a very complex and very expensive B2B service, and you have to go through like a whole procurement department to get signed off to be the person that delivers that thing, it's often a lot easier to sell something really low cost and loss leading so that you get approved into their accounting cycle, you get past legal, you get past procurement, and 90% of the work is done. So when you go back in later, you've actually made the pathway a hell of a lot easier because you're now a known entity. Or they go, oh, we dealt with them before, I'm sure it'll be fine. Maybe they're like secondary process controls are not always as good. But now like it's kind of been approved by legal, approved by accounting, approved by procurement, and now all you have to deal with is the end manager that you're working with. Obviously, that's in a very complex, expensive B2B setting, but the concept is the same. That happens
Absolutely.
mentally in an individual.
Yeah. So once that value exchange has happened, they've given you money, you've given them value, then yeah, as Avon says, there's that transaction has occurred. So everything else there's a lot less friction. And that's why we say earlier, make sure that it's not just about selling the highest tier product in your product suite. It's about let's get something into the customer's hand, turn them into a raving fan so that everything becomes easier.
Well, on that next one is being the core offering. Maybe you could have a step in between that. So like your Tripwire product is the $7 thing. Maybe your first part of the core offering, like you don't have to be so stringent on there's a B, and C product. Maybe the first part or the smaller part of your core offering is just it's almost too small, or it should be too small. It should be like just enough to do a couple of things, but not quite there. The middle product obviously is something like in the good, better, best model is something that you want them to buy. And then you should have something ridiculously expensive to kind of bring everything else up. It's like when you go to a restaurant, they've got one thing on the menu that is like obscenely priced, but then it makes everything else seem okay. Like if they're going to compare you to Macca's, to have a $200 lobster thing on the menu, you're not so worried about the $35 soup. As an example.
100%. That's it. Everything's relative, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And in fact, it's called our price anchoring. So in a comparative sense, you're anchoring to that high value, and then you're saying, well, everything else under that is easily, I guess, more easily digestible from a price, fear, and risk perspective. So then I guess on after you've got someone, like what you should do is ideally you want a customer for life. You want a customer that you're going to be able to sell to, because even if you get them once, now some businesses you can't do that in. Like when someone's not going to buy 5 properties in one go unless they're a multimillionaire. So generally people make that transaction once every few years or a decade, or maybe funeral home. You're only going to do that purchase once, hopefully. So they need a lot of money in the deal. Whereas when you have something like a product or service, particularly a B2B setting, you probably want to create some level of recurring purchase, or whether or not they need it every month or whether they need it on a somewhat semi-regular basis. But that ongoing element is where your profitability is, because they already know you, they already trust you, and now they're going to make the money. Good work.
Celebrations all around, team.
Yeah. I love those Apple reactions. Always come up when you least expect them.
Least expected every time.
I had a conversation with someone who's very stone-faced. Like their natural setting is not all smiles, and so whilst he's sitting there with a big frown, up comes the Apple thing, which was the thumbs down, and you had that little bubble on the side there. Even though he was very positive in the conversation, he was like, "That sounds really good." But he's more like grunt, not like
right.
Hey, happy-go-lucky kind of.
Right. Yes, he has a resting business face.
Business or other words, yes, absolutely.
Yes, just keeping it, G for the players at home,
Yeah. So what would be your thing? Like in terms of core offering, do you like the good, better, best, or is there something else?
I think so. The way mine is structured, so it's about, so if we're talking about, say, onboarding courses, so it's about, so do it yourself, done with you, done for you is the best way to sort of explain it. So if you want to, have me impart to you my knowledge on how to get it done yourself, that would be the entry level offering. And then second tier would be I'll sit next to you and we'll plan it all out, and then you go make it happen. Or you can engage myself and my team and we'll do it all for you. So it's done. You do it yourself, done with you, done for you.
Well, in that scenario, it's all about like risk ownership, like who owns the risk of the problem. Does the customer own the risk, or do you own the risk? And so, if you're going to be providing a done for you service, you're kind of taking on the risk to say that I'm going to do this, I'm going to get it done, and if something goes wrong, I'm going to wear it and I'm going to make it right, and then we're going to get to the outcome. Obviously, you got to put limitations on that, because, like, for me in the software game, how long is a piece of string? It's such a, I wanted the button blue, you made it green, or it's the wrong kind of blue, or could we just move it to the right a bit? Or, it just starts to really unlock, but then it's that on a million different little touch points, which then becomes very, very time consuming, expensive, and you can absolutely go down a rabbit hole.
Absolutely.
So I think, and then what's your view on subscriptions?
Oh, yes. Okay. So for the client, they know that they've always got us in their corner. So that's a win. If they need something changed, if they need something to be created, they've got that person ready to rock and roll. For us, monthly recurring revenue. Everybody wins in that scenario. So huge fan. Avon, what's your take?
Well, in our context, we do a lot of deep, complex projects, and there's peak seasons and there's low seasons. Everybody's doing all the hard work between end of January, like February, right through to mid to late November. And so, if we were just to do everything on a purely project basis, then we'd have to, I guess, charge a bit more. But then, because it's lumpy, now you've got to get resources aligned to go and do the work. So you can't go and hire a whole bunch of people, then fire them at the end of the project. You kind of want to have something a little bit consistent so that you can drive it forward. We have a comment here, Christoph. Hey, Christoph, thanks for your comment there. Yes, a delicious steak for was it $400 or $200? That would be good. So there's a delay in comments to when we see them. So
yes,
that's all right. But nonetheless, if I was going to do a whole bunch of projects, I might have this really peak area where I have to staff up, and then I have to go and fire a whole bunch of people. But on the retainer model, I can keep them around long term. And if someone says, I want a project, well, it's often easier to do it in an agile fashion rather than boom bust, because then, we're reacting to things as things change, particularly in our context. But when doing projects, it's like you have to measure everything correctly at the start. There's so much more risk in it. You then have to go and price effectively for that. And then at the end, you have all this dead quiet time at the end of the year. Whereas on the retainer model, we can much better organize the human resources that are involved in the project. We don't have to uproot anybody and have them move interstate to do a job. We don't have to have them all finish up after a 3-month period. They're happier and more long-term. They do better work. We get to really understand them. They get to really understand the client. I just think it's just so much more of an intelligent way to do things. Obviously, we have our projects as well, but if we're thinking about some of the episodes that we've done, we've talked about revenue operations. We've talked about managing cash flow. We've talked about dealing with onboarding and offboarding and employee happiness and all that sort of stuff. It all flows into having something that is somewhat predictable, and what's going to happen one day to the next, instead of this whole you want a project, now we have to hire 3 people, which takes time. Why aren't we starting this tomorrow? Well, because we have to kind of staff up for something if it's big enough, and then they get to the point of project's done, and then we're going to fire you all like that. No one wants to work for an organization.
Not a good time. No.
So I think that obviously clients want a foreseeable end date. I get that, but sometimes every business is in motion. Imagine if you went and did a enterprise level project plan at just December or even December 2019, and all of a sudden you end up with COVID gets announced, and you've measured your business today to go, right, we're going to have lots of brick and mortar attendance. We're going to have everybody on site with this in the home of the client. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. And you've gone and invested in this giant project plan. And the next day it gets announced that everything's locked down and you can't go anywhere. Now your fundamental project plan is down the toilet. Your whole investment is fundamentally changed. And by the time you rock around to start the project, like you haven't even turned the first side or like lifted the first Lego brick or whatever, and the whole thing's down the toilet. That would be a lot of work gone nowhere. And
look, it's horrific. I know that happened to a few people. Multi-million-dollar projects. Just not
so
ideal.
having an incremental approach is often a lot easier. Yeah, you should have a strategy. You should go and look long term and go, this is what we're going to do. And maybe part of that Tripwire product, or like that first product for prospects where it's a low dollar, get the foot in the door kind of thing, is you have some kind of review to go, we're going to set up a plan, we're going to look at what you got, and we're going to say, this is what you need. And whether or not you work with us, you de-risk it for them. You say, whether you want to you work with us, you can take this plan and you can implement it yourself, or you can take it to somebody else and then they can implement the plan. And if it's pretty decent, it's got your skills and experience, more than likely they're going to go with you.
That's it, 100%.
Because now you don't have to get up to speed on it. You already are.
Exactly. In the best possible position.
Yeah, right at the starting line. So I think broadly, product mix really matters to go from, you don't know the customer, or you've only just found out about them, they've only just found out about you, all the way through to loyal customer that you work with for years. And we have plenty of clients that have done exactly that transition.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think that pretty much covers our main topic for the day. One thing we do need to announce, there's going to be some changes around here. Let me tell you. So, first of all, Amanda's off the podcast. No, just kidding.
I was waiting for this moment, everyone. All the
she's like, woo, thank goodness for that. No, what we're going to be doing is by the end of the day on a Friday, we are absolutely fried, and having the mental agility to come in here and present some amazing work is hard. We definitely give it our all. But in order to give it just that little bit more and to be fresher and more on the ball and more interesting, engaging and funny, etc., I think we're going to have to move this to the mornings. I think that what that's also going to do is help our friends in other time zones. So we are starting our global push, and we have some more friends in North America, South America, US, and in that region, this is midnight. So that doesn't work.
So if you're watching and you're there, thanks.
Well, more than likely they're watching the replay, so that's all right. Even if we do it at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is when we intend to do it, that'd be about 3 or 4 p.m. In, for example, West Coast USA. And that still gives them enough time to watch the replay through till their 11 o'clock. So our work day is their evening. If you're a hardworking entrepreneur like us, you'll probably be on your computer late at night anyway, or sitting on the couch on the phone, tired of watching Married at First Sight or some other dumb mental brain melting thing. So anyway, that is the change that's coming. So as of next week, next Friday, we will start at 8 a.m. So different bat time, same bat channel. So make sure you're along. Make sure you come along, put it in your diaries. We'll try to post out as early as we can to give you plenty of notice. And also coming up, we will be pre-recording one on the 25th of April. It is Anzac Day, our military memorial day. So if you're watching from any other time zone, you will still get an episode, but we'll have pre-recorded it. So that helps us to, do our respectful thing while still keeping everybody entertained.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much close of business. Did you have anything else?
No, just
talking about the world's most amazing networking group.
How could we forget? So, team, link is below. Come and check out our Relevate community. Those of you in the Australian time zone, as always, we have Monday night networking at 7:30 p.m. Brisbane time. Avon, do the clocks change this weekend, or am I dreaming?
Yeah, but that's Sydney Stardust. Who cares?
Oh, damn. You got told, Sydney and Melbourne. You got told.
So we do run our face-to-face catch up at the end of this month in Melbourne, and then we've got one in July, start of July in Sydney, and we are planning one in the US in towards the later end of the year. So nonetheless, a lot of these face-to-face catch-ups are really starting to ramp up. So if you're watching, thank you. If indeed you still are, please do like and subscribe and keep on top. Come over to the YouTube channel to find out what's going on. Also in the link below, we've got an events page, so you can see all the events listed out that are coming up. But otherwise, I think that's pretty good.
Absolutely. And team, make sure that you vote. Do you like Avon's lighting situation that he has happening in the studio there? If you like it, let us know. If you're not in love with it, let us know as well in the comments below so that we know what to shift, what to change, or to keep it as amazing as it currently is. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I think it's good. It like hides my like I've got a bit of paper down there I forgot to move. I'm realizing. So
staging, Avon, staging. Come on.
My workspace. I'm working out of here. Anyway, all good. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching. You stay classy, and we'll catch you